Christian Lopez asks, is it okay for my female to be leaking fluid about 10 minutes after mating? And the answer is this it's not really what you want. You'd much rather she didn't leak anything out. And so the secret to this is, and you say you've got 7 cc's of fluid, I'm assuming it's a French Bulldog, which is quite a bit. So the secret to this is to keep the dog's legs up on your knee with a head towards the ground, so gravity stops anything leaking out, and keep the dog like that for a full 30 minutes. Then after 30 minutes, let her down on the ground with all 4 feet on the ground with your hand underneath her and make sure that nothing's leaking out. And if you do that, then everything stays inside, and that's what you want. Because remember, anything that doesn't stay inside her is not going to get the dog pregnant. If you lose half of it, you can potentially get a small litter from this. So you don't want it to leak out. And so the solution to this is to take your time. Okay. Sandy asks, will the concentrator, she's talking about our oxygen concentrator, help for a fading puppy? You betcha. So fading puppies, especially ones that are like short stroking, they're kind of breasts that are kind of short and fast, those puppies have probably got pneumonia. And the one thing that helps those puppies is pure oxygen. So pure oxygen in a concentrator, you may have to tube feed because they're probably going to stop eating, and you probably at that point want to give Clavamox as well to treat that. So that's the recommended treatment for that. Somebody's looking for stud service, call Cody, 806-664-0173. Cody can help you. He's got lots of beautiful studs. So I did a video that says the best bang for the buck, and I was talking about a fawn dog that carries all the colors, and somebody is asking whether or not we have that. Daryl Wilson, and the answer is we did. We had some Eurohero boys that were exactly like that, but they are all at their new homes now, so nothing at the moment, sorry. Duke Cavilian, do you recommend toys in a whelp box with mama and pups? Also, have you ever heard of a puppy being born with a flat chest? A bit more here. So, all right, toys. So we don't leave toys in the box with mama until they're starting to walk around, because they're not going to interact with them until they've got their eyes open and moving around. So that's probably 2 weeks into this. But at that point, by the time we're 3 weeks, you bet we leave toys in there with them. As far as the flat chest at birth, that's probably a congenital thing as opposed to just being late. You've got two reasons that puppies can get flat chests. The common one is they're big fat puppies, they've got lots of milk, they're lazy, small litters, lots of milk. They lay on their chests go flat. In those situations, you tape the back legs up or put a prosthesis on them. A puppy that comes out of the womb with a flat chest, that's congenital. And that one may be harder to fix. But I would start with a prosthesis around its chest so it doesn't put any extra pressure on its chest, to see if that'll help the situation. I don't know whether it'll fix it. I've never had one of those, so I don't know the answer to that, sorry. Somebody's asking whether or not there's a method to determine whether a dog they've bought has had a litter before or has had a heat before. So, all right, so, if you're talking about French Bulldogs, most of those dogs will have C-sections. Of course, it's obvious if they've had a C-section before because there's a scar on their chest or their belly. So that one's obvious. Dogs that have been through a heat typically have enlarged nipples, as opposed to dogs that have never had a heat before. They're all completely flat to their chest. So that's an indicator that a dog has been through a heat before. So the question I ask is, why do you want to know that? Because if you've bought a dog that's a year old, it's quite likely it hasn't had a heat before. If you've bought a dog that's 2 years old, it probably has had a heat before. But to determine that, there's nothing you can do that I'm aware of other than physical signs of its chest or the obvious signs of a C-section scar to tell whether or not a puppy, a dog has had a heat before. No, there's nothing like a progesterone test or anything like that you can do, not that I'm aware of anyway. So Wicked Good Bulldogs said, just a quick correction, maybe I heard you wrong. We're talking about pyometria, and I didn't mention this, and she's absolutely, or Wicked Bulldogs is exactly right. So dogs that have not been bred before that come up with a pyometria, the recommendation is that you breed those dogs because it helps get rid of the pyometria, and that you can continue to breed those dogs as long as you don't run into problems with the pyometria. So an open pyometria, the right thing to do is probably to breed that dog. And a closed pyometria, that's a rather a different situation. The closed pyometria, you really can get a dog in trouble whether you bred it or not. And in either case, I think some antibiotics make good sense. So Mr. Six wants to know about marketing dogs, and he says besides a website, it's a good place to market your dogs. Well, all social media, it's all good. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, these are YouTube. These are all good places to put information out about your dog so other people can see it. There's free places like Craigslist. I don't use Craigslist. Craigslist makes me a bit wary about the clientele you might attract from Craigslist. But I don't want to sound, again, and that's for you to make that decision. The Craigslist is not hot on the list, but the other ones absolutely are. On Facebook, you have to be careful. You don't want to be advertising that you're trying to sell puppies because you'll probably end up in Facebook jail. So on Facebook, what Tammy, my wife, does is she puts pictures of the videos and says, oh, look at my beautiful puppies, and a phone number. Well, no, I don't think she puts a phone number. They contact her through Facebook. So you've got to be a little bit careful about Facebook because there are rules about this, and you may end up getting blocked. Norma Jean Diaz, when mums come home, the sun just came out. Well, she's asking about, do you leave your mum and puppies in the same room as you? So the answer to this is, I think it depends on the kind of whelping system that you've got. So you've heard me lots of times talk about our whelping system. And the great thing about our whelping system is that you can leave mum and babies together 24/7 with little interaction from you. What we do is we put mum and babies in a crate with our heated whelping system in an adjacent room. In fact, in our case, it's in the kitchen. And then we leave our door slightly open for the first couple of nights so we can hear if there's any problems. So the idea behind this is there's a pig rail in there, the heat's under the pig rail, the babies migrate to where the heat is, which is under the pig rail, and they spend the majority of their time sleeping under the pig rail where they're completely safe. If we hear noise going on, a puppy's crying or not happy, and that goes on for more than about 15 to 20 seconds, we get up and find out what's going on. Invariably, that puppy's just being licked by mum and it doesn't particularly like it because it's being stimulated. So we basically let mum and babies together all the time for the first at least 4 weeks. And we do very little other than get mum to go outside and pee and poop and put fresh water and food in there. So that's what we do. But I think if you're going to do that, you really should be investing in our whelping system. If you don't have that, then I think you really do need to have those puppies close to you for the first probably week, because things can get out of hand. And absolutely, whatever you do, you absolutely need to have a pig rail. And while we're talking about all this, I really don't care for heat lamps because they cook mum. She will not like it at all. She's getting up, getting down, and potentially stepping on a puppy. So anyway, there we go. Thanks for watching. Bye, buddy. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate people who subscribe to me. It helps me, encourage me to do more of these videos. But do remember, disclaimer here, I am not a vet. I'm not a licensed medical professional. I'm purely a person who's been breeding dogs for the last couple of decades. Any information that you got from this video, use at your own risk. There's nothing implied here, and certainly this should not be used as a substitute for advice from your veterinarian or your medical professional. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for more of them. Bye.